know if you know this, but there's this small little independent movie coming out. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Spider-Man No Way Home. Rumor has it might actually be kinda big. To celebrate, we're gonna have a very special week of Spider-Man reviews. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, in time for Venom, Their Be Carnage to probably not be in theaters anymore, we're going to look at the new Marvel Legends Armadillo Wave Shriek. Starting off with the packaging, and this is a pretty typical Marvel Legends box. As we can see, the Armadillo Build-A-Figure piece actually takes up more room than Shriek does. We do, however, get some new Shriek artwork on the side and on the back. And as back-of-the-box artwork goes, I think it's honestly kinda meh. Francis Louise Barrison, aka Shriek, escapes from captivity and forms a twisted family with like-minded villains to terrorize Spider-Man. Again, the Build-A-Figure for the Wave is Armadillo, and here are all the figures that you'll need to build him. We've got the black and gold suit Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, J. Jonah Jameson, Miles Morales, and Morlun. Integrated suit Spider-Man, however, does not come with a Build-A-Figure piece. And for those who want it, here's the UPC. Bland artwork aside for packaging, I'm giving Shriek 1 whole point. Getting her out of that package, and Shriek stands at 6 inches. From the top, and kudos to Hasbro, they did give us a brand new head sculpt. Not only does she have a devilish smirk, she also has her very fashionable earrings, and also a pretty impressive hairpiece. Moving on down, there's a lot of new sculpting there too. I'm not sure if the torso itself is a new mold, but this arm definitely is. Similar to the new Tiger, it features bicep swivel and pinless double jointed elbows. Mine unfortunately has a little bit of paint smudge around the waist, but with clever belt placement that is not a problem. Otherwise, the paintwork is nice and crisp. All the lines for her torso were nicely tempoed on. Little fuzzy around the hand though. And on the subject of hands, we have seen these a million times. But back to the new stuff, she does have pinless double jointed knees. The more time I spend with this figure, the more confident I am that it is in fact a completely new sculpt. Hands aside anyway. And it's a huge improvement. Having seen the same few body sculpts used over and over and over again, I'm honestly pretty excited to see what Hasbro does with it. For her presentation, I'm giving Shriek 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and Shriek's head's on a ball joint and a disc hinge. If you think she can look up, you're as crazy as she is. A little bit down though, a little bit of tilt, and all the way around. Also, is it just me or does she kind of look like Courtney Cox? Moving on down, she has swivel hinge shoulders. They come up to 90 degrees. As I said before, she has bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbows, and swivel hinge in the wrist. Moving on down, she has a diaphragm joint. Lets her do the hula hoop. Shriek can arch back that far and hunch over that far. Below the waist, she has ball jointed hips, pretty decent spread, thigh cut. Again, she has pinless double jointed knees and ankles that hinge back, hinge forward, and pivot. In terms of articulation, the love that Lady Legends have been getting lately is awesome. If I had one request, I would like to see boot cut. It would definitely make some stances easier. As is, she's about 90% more posable than 90% of female Marvel Legends. For posability, I'm giving Shriek 1 whole point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love in these videos, and your likes help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and Shriek comes packed with the typical Lady Legends jazz hands. She also comes with fists and weapon holding hands, which is pretty interesting as she doesn't come with any weapons. Oh, and when changing out her hands, do pay attention to this bracelet. Otherwise, it will be lost forever to the carpet goblins. Considering her ability to fire concentrated blasts of sound, it would have been kinda nice if she came with some energy effects. That said, if you've been collecting Marvel Legends for a while, you probably have a few to spare. And since it takes up more than half of the box, I figured we should probably look at the Build-A-Figure piece. Technically, it's 2 pieces. The shoulders snap onto the back. Living into place with a lot of armadillos, I can tell you that this texture is perfect. And the top half nicely blends into the bottom. I wasn't originally going to, and I'm not gonna lie, I kinda want to finish it now. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. First up, here she is with the Clyde to her Bonnie, Carnage. I unfortunately don't have a Hasbro Carnage, but here she is with one from Toy Biz and another one from Marvel Select. For some other Maximum Carnage cohorts, here she is with Demo Goblin and Doppelganger. All we need now is Carrion, and the crew will be complete. For a Maximum Carnage hero comparison, here she is with Pizza Spidey, Black Cat, and Venom. Pizza Spidey, I think, is probably closest to Mark Bagley's art style, and animated Venom is unfortunately the the only Marvel Legends Venom I have. But if you're interested in other options, just like with Carnage, here she is with a Toy Biz and a Select. I also unfortunately don't have Cloak and Dagger. Cloak, of course, was instrumental in Shriek discovering her mutant powers. And speaking of mutants, here she is with a similarly sound manipulation powered Dazzler. Just imagine a battle between these two. Near as I can tell, the comics have never done it. Marvel, where's my money? To see how this new Lady Legend sculpt scales with other female figures, here she is with Black Widow, Gwen Stacy, Tigra, and Rogue. For a comparison to the distinguished competition, here's Carnage and Shriek with Joker and Harley, because, I mean, come on. Shriek is pretty much just Marvel's Harley. Consider the evidence. Two-tone design? Check. Paper white skin? Check. Locked up in an insane asylum? Check. In love with an anarchist serial killer? Checkity check check. A deep and abiding love for stealth Iron Man? I think that one's actually just me. No judgment, just, calling it how I see it. Maximum Carnage is not only one of my favorite Spider-Man arcs from the 90s, but it's also one of my favorite video games. Shriek was not only one of my favorite characters, but I think one of the best new villains introduced to Spider-Man in the 90s. Even so, for me, it's all about the team, and I am so excited to finally be able to add her to it. For her playability, I'm giving Shriek 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Shriek retails for $22.99, but if we're being honest, most of that money is going to the Build-A-Figure piece. So the question becomes, is she worth it on her own? This is where playability becomes really important. As a character, Shriek tends to be more defined by the other characters that she surrounds herself with. Her telepathic abilities bring out the absolute worst in others, but Shriek herself is actually pretty nurturing, even kind of maternal. And that's to say nothing about her relationship with Carnage. It's pretty twisted if you haven't already figured that out. The point is that Shriek is a character who isn't really meant to be on her own. She's meant to be with her family. And while I don't like the new Marvel Legends price hike, $22.99 isn't too much to bring her home. Oh, and the Build-A-Figure piece adds a lot of value too. For price, I'm giving Shriek 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For more Spidey goodness, check out my action figure evolution of Spider-Man in his red and blue costume, or this video on the animated series exclusive Venom. And in a couple of weeks, you can enjoy a whole slew of new videos celebrating the release of Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.